Hello, everyone. I'm Contessa of WrestleZone.com, here to talk about a very fun and eventful episode of Friday Night SmackDown, which had been billed as the Super SmackDown. I should be joined by Robert E. Flea shortly, but I figured I would get the ball rolling here just to get the show started. So before I do, just want to remind you all of this show, like everything we do here at WrestleZone, is available on any number of streaming platforms, so at SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. And also, just want to say, I'd be remiss not to, point out that today is the 20th, I won't say anniversary, but 20 years since the attacks on September 11th. So just want to take a moment to point those out and give it a moment of silence in honor of everyone who lost their lives that day, and everyone that was affected by that day. It's crazy to think it was 20 years ago and how much the world has changed, but definitely a day that I think many people in America and around the world will certainly remember for a long, long time. So I just want to take a moment of silence for that, and then we'll get the show started. So it was a very eventful and fun episode of Friday Night SmackDown this week. It was billed as Super SmackDown, and one of my pet peeves that we've seen a little lately, since fans can't have come back, is that you'll have a show like this or a show like we've just seen a couple of times where like John Cena will be advertised for Raw, but he won't be on the televised part of the show. He'll just be on the dark matches, which is great for the fans in attendance, but it is a little misleading, as a TV viewer, when it's like, oh, you're going to see supposedly, a John Cena, or in this case, they had advertised Bobby Lashley, I think maybe even Drew McIntyre, several of Raw's top stars. And I do think Charlotte defeated Rhea Ripley in the dark match. So again, cool for the live fans in attendance, but for the TV viewer, you're thinking, oh, it had seemed like it would be a super show like Raw and SmackDown on the TV show. That was a little disappointing, I guess, just for lack of a better word. But that does not take away from the fact that, or at least my opinion, that this week's episode was a very, very fun show. I think that's kind of the sentiment around it, that this was probably one of the best episodes of WWE TV, or at the very least even SmackDown, which has, I would say, become the A show maybe in the last year, really since Roman Reigns came back. So even then, even just in that standard, I would say it's become the A show. And then on top of that, definitely probably one of the better episodes of WWE TV that we've seen, where you had a pay-per-view quality match with Seth Rollins and Edge, where you had Brock Lesnar coming back, a very, very hot crowd out, like, an AEW-like crowd, where the crowd is really into it. Nesha Kurse already saying it was a great episode of SmackDown, and I would definitely agree. Shout out from the Philippines from Carlos Mirabelez Lozada. Thank you very much. Yes, an absolutely fun episode. Michael Yuffa pointing out Cindy came out after SmackDown. I'm aware. I know. I was just pointing out the fact that Cena, some of these other Raw stars have been advertised, and you had thought that they'd be part of the actual show. So But again, we're not going to dwell on that too much, because it was a very good show. I want to focus on that. Not a perfect one. We will talk about one major negative aspect of the show, but I want to try to be a little more positive first and foremost here. So I guess I'll start with kind of the featured match of the evening, because that was probably the one big thing other than Brock Lesnar that we really had to look forward to, at least dating back to when we were talking about the show last week. So we did see Edge face Seth Rollins in a rematch from SummerSlam. And here, I had initially kind of approached this match like, okay, there's no way that that Edge is going to lose. And that they had talked about during his entrance, 4,000 days since John Cena, I'm reading the comments about John Cena, since Edge competed in Madison Square Garden, which is absolutely crazy. And just a very, very cool moment for him, a very, very cool moment for his fans like myself. A guy, and it's one thing, that he's come back and he's wrestling for the first time in years, but then you put a number to that, and Madison Square Garden, at least for me, I'm New Jersey born and raised, and to me, that's that's probably the big arena to me. And I think that's fair, right? It's often called, the world's most famous arena, but especially in the tri-state area, it is this very much almost a pinnacle of arenas, right? So, putting Edge and Rollins there in Madison Square Garden with Edge coming back, to the arena for the first time. I think I read reports somewhere that he bent down and kissed the mat because he was just so emotional about it, as he should be. It's definitely a big deal. It's a very, very special thing. Very, very good match. As you would hope, these guys, went all out here to deliver a very, very good match. I would say probably on par, just as good, maybe even better than the one in SummerSlam, which was good because this was for not on the pay-per-view, on quote-unquote free TV. So you always like to see that, get your money's worth when you're not even paying. So and you were already getting some comments about how there will very likely will be a third match here to complete the trilogy. Neshker is predicting that, Edge won SummerSlam, Rollins won last night. You set up a third match. Now, I think I saw 2 comments from Nesha saying Extreme Rules. I mean, so let's just not bury the lead here. Seth Rollins won the match, was very, very good, and he finally hit the stomp on Edge. It's something that this storyline has really been about, where dating back to, I think that was 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2015. He had teased, stomping Edge and permanently retiring him, and then now that Edge came back to fight the odds. I don't think we've seen him get stomped until last night, where he won SummerSlam. Anytime they brawled, he didn't get hit with a curb stomp that I can recall. And the whole emphasis was like, if he ever did get stomped, that would be definitely very concerning for his prospects in the ring. And he finally did get stomped. Rollins kicked him in the face and kicked him below the belt to set it up. And there's some really masterful storytelling here. And, there was one review I read on Cage Side Seats where they're saying, you could just really tell Edge's facial expressions. It made it clear, like, he had this moment of almost penance where he realized, everything that he's done has kind of led him to this point, where he's kind of, dragged Rollins into the depths of, depravity and darkness. And that's something that Rollins has said himself, where like he's kind of learned from Edge in that sense, and he's embracing being Edge light here. So there's that moment last night where Edge really realized, like, oh, like, this is kind of, if not his fault, like, at least he's responsible for winding up in this situation by bringing this out of Rollins. And Rollins, screamed at him, like, why won't you die? And he kicked him again and again. And Edge, like, kept getting up, and finally he didn't. And Rollins finally hit the stomp. And then on Rollins' part, there's one moment with how he just kind of realized, like, oh, I just stomped the man. What does this mean? And then we did see Edge get stretched out of the arena, backstage, getting loaded in an ambulance. And Rollins asked about it. And he basically said, I don't know how to feel about it. Maybe I don't feel anything at all. So, but the fact that we did see Edge getting stretched out there definitely seems to be my thought, and among others, like Mokiofa saying that we probably won't be seeing Edge for a while. Michael's saying that Edge will probably return in 2022, maybe over on Raw to kind of shake it up in that sense. And it emphasizes he's probably not coming back until next year. And I would agree. I think based on this injury angle, Extreme Rules is only 2 weeks away? Yeah. So that's not this Sunday, obviously, but the one after that. So it would be very surprising to see Edge come back to set up this third match so quickly. Usually, not always, but usually WWE likes to kind of stretch out these injury angles here. So, if we get a third match, I could see maybe like Royal Rumble at the earliest, if not later. I'm not really sure. I don't think they're going to bring back Edge, trying to win the Royal Rumble yet again next year. I think that'd be a little overkill. As much as I like him, I think next year it should be somebody else's turn. But of course, there's the flip side that, and I think I had said last week, maybe they should have added a stipulation to this match to shake it up a little bit. But Eddie Zahari is saying that it is Extreme Rules. So you could easily add a stipulation to that match and do that, whether it's an ambulance match or a last man standing match to end the feud before the draft. And I was going to talk about that later as well. But I think if we hadn't seen the man get carted out into an ambulance and loaded, driven off into the night like that, that we might see him come back sooner. But I feel like it's safe to say he will not be back for a while. And that's a shame. I think, Robert and I have been talking about it for weeks now, that we've really enjoyed seeing Edge, having the nostalgia, hearing his theme song, seeing the crowds now, go crazy for him. He got a huge pop last night, as he darn well should. But yeah, I think we won't be seeing him for a while. Will he come back to SmackDown or Raw? I don't really know. We've seen him on both at this point, even since he's come back. He had been on Raw at first. Now he's been on SmackDown. So I could see it either way. Again, if they want to have, him wrap up his feud with Rollins. Kind of similar with Rollins. If you draft him to Raw or leave him on SmackDown, maybe Edge will follow suit, and that way they can pick this up whenever Edge does come back. So, nonetheless, very much looking forward to. I would assume it's fair to expect a third match between the two, because now the score is tied. Then usually when they have a feud like this, you want that rubber match. So it's definitely interesting where with Edge leaving, Rollins is now as he had been before the feud with Edge, kind of floating a little aimlessly, where it's like, okay, he's got this moment of character development of now he's like sunk to the depths, really definitely maybe evolved a little bit, but it's like, what do you do next? Mikey Alpha saying you could have Seth Rollins go after Big E in the Money in the Bank contract, because Rollins had said, even after he lost Edge at SummerSlam, that he wants to challenge for the Universal title. So, and now we're being joined by Robert D. Felice here. Robert, how you go? How's it doing? How are you doing? Sorry, can't even talk.
I'm doing great, pal. SmackDown was fantastic. SmackDown was absolutely fantastic, and it was one of the better SmackDowns I've seen since the NXT episode in 2019.
Yeah,
and I think legitimately we're talking about some of the best work ever done by some of these characters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was talking about Edge versus Seth Rollins for a minute, and some of the storytelling we saw there, some of the character work we saw there. What do you think about that match and the outcome with having Rollins win and Edge get carted away?
I think Edge versus Seth Rollins was even better than SummerSlam. I think it was one of the best matches I've seen on TV in years. Edge really, I think, is one of the most underrated performers ever. I think everybody knows Edge, but when you think about Edge, you think about TLC, you think about this and that. But Edge just in a straight up wrestling match is one of the best wrestlers of all time. And I think he showed it. I'm not big on the carted away stuff, because does that mean every time he takes a break, he has to be carted away? But whatever. Great stuff. It's not over yet. Hopefully, it's not actually like, oh, he's going to be out for months and months, and he just has a match at Extreme Rules with Rollins, because they have a feud that can do an Extreme Rules match.
Exactly. And we got a couple comments about that, wondering if we could see that third match at Extreme Rules. And I've been saying that, while it's possible they could do the carted out angle and bring it back maybe on the show before Extreme Rules, it would seem a little weird to me to have the guy carted away and then bring it back just like that. Because usually this is a way to kind of write somebody off for some period of time. That you're not.
I definitely think he's going to Saudi, because he's a big enough guy that they're going to want him there. Unless he flat out refuses to go.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to distinguish between Edge the performer and Edge the person. I'm not sure where he stands on that, because he didn't have to deal with that when he was an in-ring performer. That's been a new thing, and since he's returned, it's been the pandemic era. So that's something we'll kind of wait and see. I'm not sure where he stands on that one. I'd like to see this match get added to Extreme Rules. I think that would definitely stack up the card a little bit, which is already looking better by the week, or at least in some ways. Raw may have just lost one of their top matches based on a very confusing booking decision, but
I just to say something about that real quick. I don't know why this company does what they do. I don't know how you would even think that's okay. What happened there? If you don't watch SmackDown, if you're exclusive to Raw, not that brand lines really exist like that, you have no idea what happened.
No, and I don't want to be that guy, but AW, they announce something and they do it. WWE, more by the week lately, it's they announce something. They announced last Monday after Lashley and MVP won the tag tournament match that we'd get a Raw tag title match on Monday to set up, the fact they already announced Orton challenging Lashley for the main title at the pay-per-view. Now, scrap the tag title match. They're doing the WWE title match on Monday with no announcement for Extreme Rules. I think the match announcement itself had said, oh, they don't want to wait till Extreme Rules. Why the hell not? But literally in the promo last week, MVP said, okay, we want to fight you.
We're going to wait till Extreme Rules.
What is that? What? And thankfully, SmackDown doesn't tend to suffer from some of those kind confusing choices quite as much, but it's not, immune from it. We see plenty of things along that same vein, but my gosh, like that was definitely a bit of a mood souring aspect of
I
last
would
night.
at least say when AEW has to cancel a match, like
Andrade,
they announced it. At least they said, "Hey, sorry, we're not going to do the match. We'll do the match."
They give a reason. At least something.
Like to just be hit with, "Oh, by the way, it's not happening," and whatever. That's WWE for you right now.
Man. Crazy times.
It really is.
I was waiting for you so we could talk about this absolute gold mine of the opening segment. We had Roman Reigns come out. He was talking about the Usos. We're the ones where you guys, we got to win tonight. Don't let the family down. More of this wonderful love triangle between Reigns, Heyman, and Brock Lesnar. So Reigns comes out. He's talking about how in New York, WWE runs New York. And I thought that was a shot at AEW because they'll be running a New York show in literally 2 weeks. And then he was saying, I run WWE, WWE runs New York, therefore I run New York. And the crowd was digging it up. They were cheering him. This was probably the most I think he's been cheered since fans have come back. They're definitely for Roman Reigns. Then Brock Lesnar comes out. The place goes nuts because it's Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar speaks like for the first time like ever. It really is, since I can recall, maybe since, his initial WWE run, really, other than some like brief lines here and there.
Other than that first promo where he was just like he did so badly that he said, "You better call Heyman." This was it was a good promo from Brock. Brock seemed natural and confident and happy. He didn't seem like he was trying to over tough guy it.
Right.
And Paul Heyman should get an Emmy award for what he did on this.
Paul Heyman,
he did on this show. Paul Heyman should get an Emmy award.
My gosh, like so good. Like we always talk about how Roman Reigns has been doing awesome stuff. Paul Heyman, absolute treasure. Really selling all this. Like Brock comes out, and there's just obviously clear tension, and he's like, I forget what did Heyman ask me. He was like, why of all titles that we could challenge for would you challenge for Roman Reigns? And I'm like, my gosh, like right in that moment, it's like, wow, like he's very clearly trying to play both sides. I think you and I talked about this a bit last week. They were really kind of, bucking the trend where like we talk about, they could do like a traditional kind of betrayal where like one, chooses one side. No, this man's trying to play both sides, and he's pretty much on the precipice of losing out on both. Where Brock Lesnar was about to F5 this man, but Roman Reigns probably
before that, Roman Reigns left Paul Heyman to get F5
out of his hands. He was furious.
Yeah, because Brock Lesnar straight up said, "I got a question for you. Why didn't you tell him that I was going to be at SummerSlam?" And that causes Roman to leave Paul Heyman in the ring. And Paul Heyman, to his credit, immediately stumbles and he goes, but ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and for 20 years I've been the advocate for the beast incarnate Brock Lesnar. Everybody pops. Lesnar pops. I love that. It's like old times. You got 5 seconds to accept my challenge on behalf of Roman Reigns.
Even though he indirectly just got fired because the Roman walked out on him, and I was like,
he actually said, before Roman fires you, you still have time to accept this on his behalf. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he lifts him up for the F5, and Reigns saves Heyman, but Brock doesn't stay down from the Superman punch. Brock gets up, has Roman in the F5 position almost immediately. Usos come out, double super kick. He bounces off the ropes, double clothesline. It was just one of the most perfect segments I have seen on WWE television in years. It's one of those things where right now it's really Heyman and Reigns and Lesnar and everyone else. I know that that's a huge problem in WWE history, but it's literally and everyone else. You need that exposure because right now Roman Reigns is the only top guy with mainstream credit, even though he's been there 10 years now.
Yeah,
he's the only top guy with like a modern stick on him that isn't ruined in any way, that can carry anything he does. This was flawless. And then we go backstage, and I think Heyman tells Kayla Roman Reigns will respond to Brock Lesnar's challenge when Roman Reigns wants to. And then Roman Reigns asks Paul Heyman, I saved you. Why didn't you tell me he was going to be at SummerSlam? And like, still, we don't know if Brock Lesnar was just like, I'm going to ruin this for you and just make it look like you knew.
No. Paul Heyman did not give an answer. Paul Heyman is guilty as sin, Robert, all right? He's very clearly trying to cover his own ass.
I still think best way around that. Hey, Brock, I don't think Roman's going to beat John. I need you. Because if he doesn't beat John, you're going to. Like, that's the way to go with it.
Even if it's not a direct betrayal, he very clearly violated Roman Reigns' trust by doing that. And that's a clear sign that he doesn't believe in Roman Reigns, is that he doesn't fully acknowledge the tribal chief, as Michael Yuffa, or who just said it? Oh yeah, Michael Yuffa saying that Roman's the best in WWE right now. That to me, and we're getting a couple comments about it. Nashkur saying Heyman will turn on Roman Reigns here.
I don't think so.
I don't know, because Lesnar was about to F5 the man. Like, he was not like on board with him. Like, there's definitely is some. It's not like they're picking up right where they left off. Like, they had one brief moment where Lesnar said, "Oh, just like old times," but like he was luring Heyman in to attack him. They're really like blurring the lines here of like who exactly is on whose side, and like what we can really. You don't know what to expect, and I feel we might be seeing more of this. Brock Lesnar standing by himself here, and I think that's definitely something different. And as I said, I was surprised he was actually talking last night. So I'm
very confident. I like the look too. I like that he's not like wearing a Suplex City shirt. He's just like rocking this flannel. He looks like he just got up off the farm in Saskatchewan. He looks fantastic. This is a great look.
Nashkur's not a fan of the look, saying the hair is not working. I think we'll have a couple more comments about that. But I like you just said, he's very literally like ripped off the farm in Saskatchewan, coming out here at Madison Square Garden, see like the flannel vest and this ponytail and everything. No, it's fun. Like it's very indicative. Like, this is a different Brock Lesnar. And I saw a bunch of comments last night where like, yeah, these two have been feuding, if you really think about it, since what, like
2015, yeah.
So and so that's 6 years, but this is so different, and we've seen them face off so many times, but it's never been like this. It's never been with a face Brock Lesnar. As Ben Milligan is asking if Lesnar's a face, oh yeah, this man is definitely a face. There have been reports that he's being positioned that way, and just if you watched the segment last night, like, he was going to have 5 Heyman, he was stepping up to the tribal chief. And whether, again, we can debate just how guilty Paul Heyman is, but even if Paul Heyman didn't do anything, Lesnar trying to like throw him under the bus like that, trying to break up the bloodline is definitely a babyface move like that. He's definitely a face, and that's why, or at least another reason why the dynamic is so different here, along with Roman Reigns being the tribal chief. Even though he got really cheered last night, definitely he's been this top level heel
right
for months now. So I'm liking this a lot. As you said, Robert, we can be critical of many things in WWE right now, but all of this stuff with Reigns and Lesnar and Heyman has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm liking it a lot. And on top of that, so we had you mentioned a minute ago, Heyman saying backstage that we'd have to wait until Reigns deemed it an appropriate time to respond, and that time did come, thankfully, later in the show when he basically just did not bury the lead. He helped the Usos retain the tag titles. He attacked the Street Profits, choked on Montez Ford. It's a very, very good match. And then he said basically, I'm gonna smash Brock Lesnar as soon as I'm through with Finn Balor. But oh wait, he's not gonna have to deal with Finn Balor. As we had kind of briefly got teased of last week, he's going to have to face the Demon, because the Demon came out to close the show, stood off Roman Reigns, and then they truly confirmed that it will indeed be the Demon facing Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules. And yeah, that adds like a little.
I don't hate this, but it's not fair to Finn Balor.
No.
Finn Balor is so clearly the other guy because the money here is so clearly Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, that it just feels like, Finn, you're a stopgap, and we're gonna bring back this demon thing. And if you were gonna do the demon, you could have had him take out the Usos. You could have had him do something. Finn Balor, I don't have an issue with the smaller guys, but after watching Brock Lesnar run through everybody and scare off Roman Reigns, Finn Balor in face paint coming out and just staring down Roman felt weird, right? Like it felt strange. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just we talked about it in a good way last week when they've got so many things so that it feels like the whole show is centered around the world title. Where you've got now Balor and now the Demon. We got a couple of teasers from Big E last night, where, again, reminding Paul Heyman that he does have the Money in the Bank case, so he's right there on Reigns' heels, or at the same time on Bobby Lashley's heels when he chooses the right time. And then you've also got obviously Lesnar, the elephant in the room. That we were just talking about, and now you've got Extreme Rules, and we do know this match will be happening. Neshkar saying that Damon was a great surprise. You could and I think that this is one possible direction. Neshkar saying you could do a triple threat match with Demon winning the title. I mean, I saw a couple of tweets last night like, oh, we're going to see Demon Balor win the title, and then Reigns will face Lesnar without the title on the line. Like, no, like
you don't understand. Roman Reigns is untouchable right now. The end. He's untouchable. That's it. That's the point of the story. He is untouchable right now.
And to me, I would definitely agree. And the only way I could really see any room in theory, any room for the Demon winning here would be if we were kind of in the peak of the Demon, right? But we haven't seen this character since 2019,
and they're not even doing anything to make it feel special. They said, "Here he is. His presence is special enough." And I think this is a bad move WWE is starting to get into, where it's just like, "Well, we're gonna book it, and that's the extent of our care."
Yeah. It was still a fun surprise. It's something that I know many people have been hoping to see for quite a while, because it has been, I think, over 2 years at this point, since 2019. I think it was Super Showdown 2019, so that was June. So it's been quite a while. I think it'll be fun. It was fun seeing him last night. I guess in a way, maybe it would have been better if they hadn't teased it last week, but we had the heartbeat sound in the arena to close the show. But I don't know. I think at the very least, this is better than just another Balor versus Reigns match.
It would have been better if the heartbeat led to a slow burn where you're seeing, oh, the Demon's coming back, and now he's scaring off the Usos, and he's doing threatening things. And you give it a month or two. That's the problem in this company. They don't have a month or two. They give themselves 2 weeks. And they're like, okay, we need to go. We need to go. And if you had the time, this could be better. This clearly just looks like, here's a gimmick for the pay-per-view. Roman Reigns will smash you. Roman Reigns will, choke you out. 1, 2, 3.
Very, very likely, if not pretty much assured at this point. And then, assuming that is the case, do you think we're going to get Reigns and Lesnar in Saudi, or are they going to
Saudi?
Yeah,
Saudi. And look, I don't hate those shows. I was one of the few people that was like, hey, look, if we're going to keep getting these random fantasy booking cards, I'm fine with it. But the air is just different, right? It doesn't feel, it feels like they're putting on a paid show rather than, oh, let's get these raucous fans going. And I think we just get it in Saudi. And I think Lesnar's got the best chance of beating Reigns, but I still think it's Reigns until WrestleMania at least.
Man, I can see why they want to do it in Saudi Arabia. I understand the money, I understand that side of things, but It'd be so. I really would prefer it if they were somehow like drew it out to Survivor Series, because right now that's slated to be in New York, which we just saw last night. New York loves Roman Reigns. New York loves Brock Lesnar. It's supposed to be in Brooklyn, so that would be presumably a very very hot crowd, and like this match is worthy of a WrestleMania main event. So to me, to do it on the Saudi Arabia show like that, and rather than one Star Series is quite literally the next month. Not the best, I think that would be my preference. Not to say that it's still going to be a fun build. It's still going to be a fun match. There's every chance they could like kind of do some shenanigans and do a screwy finish and then do Survivor Series anyway. But then you lose some of the luster of the match, being at Survivor Series in the first place. So, but I think I would agree. I don't think it. Robert, you were just talking about how more often than not WWE kind of. Just doesn't have patience, and they just kind of.
I don't even think it's that they don't have patience anymore. I really think it's just we make content. Here is content. We have made it. Okay, next content. Like they don't. There's no feeling in anything that they do anymore, and they have a lot of this like synthetic feeling. Like they constantly talk about emotion and feeling, but it's all synthetic. It's all just phony. And I know someone will go, well, WWE is fake. Yeah, but AEW don't feel fake, man. Like AEW feels like it's real energy, real emotion. WWE just feels like we have made content. Like I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
I think that's generally true, and then there are exceptions to that rule. For me, Reigns and Lesnar remains that case, where it's like that has been so good. And I guess over on the Raw side, RK Bro has been a lot of fun. Like there are exceptions, but I think that is generally the case. And to me, I think that it is still a matter of patience, or at least the general mindset of that. Yes, that emphasis on content creation rather than making a good wrestling program, a good wrestling content. Right, there is definitely a difference there.
How empty does that sound too? We're just making content. It's nondescript content. Here is your content. Like it's a mystery meat. What are you getting?
I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar with it, but in the Bo Burnham special on Netflix, like there's a song just like here's your content, and he's like singing about it. And yeah, it's that very vague, undescript content. It's not wrestling. Sometimes it doesn't feel like sports entertainment. It's content.
We make movies, pal. It's not even that anymore. Just, here's your content. Like, here you go.
All right. Before we get to like the one big, I know we've been a little critical today, but before we get to the one big, drawback of the show, the elephant in the room for sure, do want to point out another fun part of the show last night was that they brought out Trae Young, the man who killed the New York Knicks' dreams in the playoffs. Very much a smart move for the live fans there to, because this man, he was booed pretty much as Jake Paul? Yeah,
Logan Paul.
Logan, I cannot forget them straight. Logan Paul, when they brought him back on Raw a couple weeks ago, the man was booed out of the building, and very similarly here, maybe even more so. This crowd hated this man, booed him. They got this 10-man tag team match, and Sami Zayn, wearing a New York Knicks jersey, brought up Trae Young, saying like something like, "Oh, the one man who knows what it's like to win in Madison Square Garden." Crowd just let this man have it. And he even got physical with Rey Mysterio. He got kicked out for doing so, and the crowd cheered. Like it was very, very fun. This is something you'd see at like a house show, but the fact they were able to do it on this, the Super SmackDown was a lot of fun. Big E got the pin here and a good. So he they're actually making Mr. Money in the Bank look good. And we got one brief moment backstage. He had stared down Paul Heyman at one point, and then I think he gave a promo after the match, or no, maybe he gave a promo and then he stared at Heyman backstage, and there was like really. Like, I don't know, something we haven't really seen before. He was like almost like creepy, where he was just like kind of like not the usual laughing, like, bubbly, like, fun Biggie. Like, he was like kind of creepy, like laughing in a similar vein of like, oh, like, I got you. But like, there's something where it made me think, oh, yeah, like I love seeing Biggie, the babyface Biggie, as we have seen him. But to me, like, there's definitely some depth to Biggie's character where it's like, I think this man could really do some other things as well, at least at some point down the road. And maybe once, assuming we finally do get all the things with Biggie as this uber babyface finally getting his flowers and everything, maybe somewhere down the line, like a very like serious, creepy, like perhaps even heel Big E. Again, way down the line. I just couldn't help but think that last night.
So the best heel Big E we've ever seen is Dolph Ziggler's heavy
Right.
and AJ Lee's heavy, which by the way, fantastic. I think one of the most underrated pairings of the last 10 years was Dolph Ziggler, AJ Lee, and Big E Langston. But with this added level of the New Day, yeah, I could like to see Big E turn heel. It won't happen. Those guys are so beloved. They're probably the one angle and the one character group that I would just take as a whole. I'd buy the IP for and plug them into AEW. Just so it's like, okay, they have all the good stuff here now. Because that IP is just it sells like hotcakes. People love the New Day. I think it was a mistake to split them up, but credit to them, it never felt like they were split up.
No.
It never once felt like, oh man, they're not the New Day. They still felt like the New Day. They still are the New Day. So I think it's only a matter of time. I think it was October 1st.
Yes.
And October 4th is that draft. They got to put them back together.
Yeah. And then I guess to delay the big negative a little more here. But yes, we have confirmed, or other reports have confirmed, the draft will start on October 1st, just a few short weeks away. My gosh, thank goodness. We've been talking about it for months how at least Raw desperately needs it, and SmackDown could benefit as well, shaking up the roster here. Very, very much looking forward to that, where there's a lot you could do, whether, and we get into the fun fantasy booking side of things here, sending Drew McIntyre to SmackDown, Asuka, assuming she's cleared, send her to SmackDown, inject Raw with a bunch of talent, because that show, I think, definitely needs it.
Rhea Ripley needs to go to SmackDown. I'm worried that they won't, because they like this pairing with Nikki ASH, who should also, quite frankly, go to SmackDown, because I think she has a kid's gimmick, and more kids should be, theoretically, watching on Friday night at 8 p.m. rather than on Monday night at 10:30, whenever they decide to put Nikki ASH on TV. I think Drew McIntyre to SmackDown feels like a given to me. The funny thing is, I don't know anyone that I've felt so far should go to Raw.
We're getting a couple comments here saying from Michael Yuffa that Seth and Big E should go to Raw. You're just talking about reuniting the New Day. That would accomplish that.
No, the Big E the New Day should go to SmackDown so they can feud with the Bloodline.
That'd be good.
If they move Big E to Raw, here's the catch. It looks more likely that he'll win the belt. And it shows that they ain't having that Bloodline do any jobs.
Yeah.
Should Seth go to Raw? Yes. Do I think Seth and Becky should be on the same show so their travel schedules sync up, considering they have a child that is maybe not even a year old yet?
Yeah.
So
not even a year.
Yeah, I think they should either, unless that works out better for them, so that one parent could be home for the child, I think they should be on the same show so that they can both be home for the child. I think that's more important. That's just me. But you can also move Becky to Raw. Nothing is stopping you. I mean, she's a SmackDown Women's Champion. So what? We saw it last year. You just hand the belt over and take the red one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But what's interesting is you definitely have a bunch of comments here about who could move to SmackDown. And as you said a minute ago, it's tougher to say who should move to Raw because, who do we really want to lose? We're the SmackDown show. We don't want to lose anybody. SmackDown, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe Kevin Owens. Yeah, I think Kevin Owens is a good one where it's he's been kind of stuck on SmackDown, not doing much. Without even worrying about his contract situation.
You want Kevin Owens' farewell tour to be doing stuff with Lily?
No,
at the very least, keep him with Sammy. Keep him on SmackDown. Yeah, I don't know, because it's the roster. I just did a breakdown of the whole roster for another website, and the roster ain't that deep. It ain't that deep anymore, guys. I don't know who I could see moving. I see more people getting called up from NXT and moving over to Raw, like a Raquel Gonzalez, or I think they called Aaliyah up. We still got Davey Boy Smith or David Hart Smith or whatever they're calling him. I think they called him Harry. Actually, this one time he worked the dark match. Harry Smith is back. Could he be on Raw? Austin Theory, Johnny Gargano. Now here's the thing there. Now, NXT can't lose Johnny.
No.
Because
Gotta have Papa John stay on NXT.
unless you're just flat out saying, screw it, this is a different NXT. You don't got Johnny, you don't got Tommaso, you don't got Adam Cole. Because you don't got Adam Cole. He gone. He's on another show doing other things, which, by the way, crazy story. We have it up on WrestleZone.com about what they pitched.
Ridiculous.
Reportedly pitched for Adam Cole. But in that same vein, Keith Lee could move over.
Yeah,
he's a guy who
Keith Lee needs it. Keith Lee needs it for sure. That's another one as well. That could definitely.
But again, that's moving from Raw to SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly. Like Raw is some people they've kind of like, if not ruined, weakened in some sense. That could definitely benefit from a fresh coat of paint on SmackDown. Whereas SmackDown, by and large, that's not as much the case. They have some people, but it's hard to think of like off the top of my head. Like they have enough people that. Yeah, they can still like kind of salvage on SmackDown, whereas on Raw, some people need that fresh coat of paint. But nonetheless, I am very much looking forward to what could happen. But at one point here about people moving over to Raw, you got Edge maybe once he comes back. Carmella, Cesaro, a good one.
Carmella should move over because I'm a strong believer in putting couples together, and Corey Graves is the Raw commentary, so Carmella should move over. Cesaro maybe, but like. Keep him with McIntyre. I want to see him and McIntyre beat the shit out of each other. And I think it's a guarantee that Drew moves over to SmackDown because he's done everything there is to do on Raw.
Yeah.
But Gable and Otis, who cares? Like, let's call a spade a spade. Who cares? Will that move the needle? By the way, Natalya and Tamina are on Raw. They're the women's tag team champions.
Yeah,
so
they're both brands. It doesn't matter. When they lose the titles, that's one thing. But for now, they are definitely across both brands. So nonetheless, I am very excited for the draft. Even again, we always talk about it. Even if it's a Band-Aid fix, it's something. I think moving some people up from NXT will be even better. And I hope that's part of it because in years past, that's been part of the draft. So I think that'd be very, very beneficial. So nonetheless, we're only a few show weeks away from that. So I guess little over 2 weeks here. Yeah. So that's good. I'm very, very excited for that. And I've been putting it off, but we got to talk about it. The SmackDown is very fun. All right. Brock Lesnar, Reigns, Heyman, gold. All right. Rollins and Edge, fantastic match. The Usos and the Street Profits, we've barely even talked about it. It was a great match. You should check it out.
Yeah, they're great. They need to be in a ladder match at the pay-per-view.
Great match. But I said at the start of the show, this was probably the best episode of WWTV we've seen in quite a while, at least I would say this year for sure. Yet, on the flip side, this very, very quickly, as the show, especially once the show ended and it became clear, there would not be a women's show on SmackDown last night. They had the contract signing with Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. That was good, but there was not a women's match, and that is definitely not a good look. All right, when you've got, granted, the SmackDown roster doesn't have a lot of depth, but you've got.
So go ahead. Just go ahead.
I was just saying they've got very, very talented people. You've got Liv Morgan, you've got Carmella, you've got Tony Storm, who hasn't been doing anything. You've got Zelina Vega. Supposedly, reports have said that they were going to have, I think it was Tony Storm and Liv Morgan face Vega and Carmella and something Vega. Like that.
And Vega was ready to go, obviously.
And Vega did a bunch of charity stuff, I think, right before the show because she lost her father during the September 11th attacks. So very clearly, like they could have had a nice moment for her on the show to kind of acknowledge that. It got cut supposedly for time, and that's not great. All right, that's not good. That's not a good look. Yeah, and I know many people are very disappointed about that. And then at the same time, we also had supposedly Naomi's storyline with Sonya Deville was going to have a segment kind of to keep that
They
moving.
Moved it to social.
They did, but still, the fact that they took it off the show, the show itself, I should say, it's not good. That it's as much as that we can enjoy how good the show was last night. There's still very much it wasn't perfect. I think that's very fair to say.
This is leading. I'm more sure than ever. This is at least leading to Naomi joining the Bloodline because she's just gonna get frustrated and just go, "All right, fuck it. You don't want to help me? He's got the stroke. I'm related to him by marriage. I'm gonna go just be with my family then and get on the show." Because I think there's something to be said about trying to do things the right way. We saw both Usos go through the whole, got to do it the right way, and then eventually you end up in the Bloodline. That is what it is. I think that's gonna happen there. As far as the tag match getting cut, I'm gonna say something. Look, it's not a good look that this is the second week they don't have a women's match. That's not lost on me, right? But ask yourself this: is a 5-minute women's match gonna satisfy that for you, or you can get pissed off that what the hell, they only gave him 5 minutes?
It is a lose-lose, and I think that in some ways, like, I think that it's more troublesome that would have been the case anyway, and then the fact that the glaring omission of not having a match is speaks more than anything. Because I think pretty much just as many people would have been upset if it was like a 5-minute match. Like, that's not great either. And I will say,
and that's my problem. And if I'm WWE at that point, I cut the match. I'm sorry. If I'm WWE at that point, I cut the match, because it's like, are we really? We're not gonna win. Would it have been a special moment for Vega? Sure, but then would it have been, well, boo, you made her lose on the day before 9/11? Like, I don't think they win there, and I'll give them that slack of, like, there's nothing that they're gonna do to please people. I do want to say this: since Becky Lynch came back, they are relying far too much on the shoulders of a woman who didn't even wrestle at SummerSlam. She did one move, and they have totally said, here it is, all on your back, because since you've left, we released about 20 women, and we got no one. Please carry this on your back and run.
Yeah. The contract signing was good. I have talked about it for these past couple weeks, where I haven't been a huge fan of the Becky Lynch heel character we've been seeing, but she showed up last night wearing a flaming red fur coat, and I
didn't like this.
Really? I thought it was good. I thought
like this.
She had a couple good lines. Like, at least there was a moment of character development where she said, "Listen, I came back last minute notice. I left my daughter at home to be here," tying in some aspects of the reality where it's like she did have a daughter at home. There had been reports that she would probably not be coming back to the fall. Whether that was a red herring or not, I don't know. But that had been the belief at one point. Then maybe they called her out because Tasha Banks could go at SummerSlam. So maybe if that was the case, then she did have to, quote unquote, leave her daughter at home, and that the company is relying on her perhaps too much. And I like that. And then she had one line where she had said, the WrestleMania, the women's WrestleMania main eventer is here. And I think Bianca had said, like, all without a mic, that hers was better. Like, I thought this was pretty darn good. What was your problem with it?
One, Bianca still has not just hit the woman in the face. Hit her in the damn face, because you lost. She played you, and yet you come out every week, skip into the ring, hit her in the face. Do something. Be mad. But I didn't like Becky because she's doing, it's almost like the Rollins thing, where it's like, look at me, I got this big, puffy coat. No, nobody wants to boo you. Nobody wants to boo you. And you don't need to be a heel in that way. Like, nobody wants to boo Becky Lynch right now. And again, Bianca needs to hit this woman. Hit her. Like, my God, she stole everything from you, made you look like a fool, and has since said, I'm better than this. I don't need this. Hit her in the face. What are you doing? Like, I just don't understand the lack of physicality from Bianca. I don't know if I want to see a female version of the drip character that Seth Rollins is doing. And I'm not saying that just because they're together. It just, that's what it looks like she was doing there.
Yeah.
Like, and I could do without the big puffy coat. People like Becky Lynch because they like Becky Lynch. Should Becky Lynch be a heel and say, I'm too good for this? Sure. The woman is the smartest woman on the planet. She held the title for 400 days, won a WrestleMania match pregnant, leaves without losing the belt, misses the era of the pandemic, so misses virtually nothing, comes back and says, oh, hi, we're in a big stadium again. Give me my belt. Thank you. Hey, the man's back. Becky Lynch is the smartest character in WWE right now. the absolute smartest, and it bothers me that Bianca's not just ready to kick her ass. She's more just like, I'm going to talk about my virtues and how I'm going to prove that I'm better than you. It's like, you had that time. You did that with Bayley. You did that with Sasha. Hit her. Hit her in the face. Like, you don't need to explain yourself here. Hit her in the face.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
I think that was definitely still true last night. The criticism of Bianca not being mad enough, not showing that growth as a character. I think we did see a step in the right direction. She was a little more like relatively, if we're comparing the past 2 weeks last night, there was a little more where she was like, I lost my respect for Becky. I'm gonna beat her at Extreme Rules and take my title back. But as Jessica's saying, agreeing with you, it's the time for talk is over. Bianca's got to hit her, not be skipping out to the ring. So I think that is still kind of
the time for talk was over. The minute that she beat you, you should have gotten up and like at least chased after her, not just been like, okay, golf clap, you beat me. Go hit her. Like, come on, you're supposed to be the roughest, the toughest, the fastest, the strongest, the best. You're just dumb right now. Like, hit her.
Yeah, and I think along that same vein, Fernando saying Belair needs to have some of the attitude she was known for in NXT, and we've seen it in bits and pieces, but they're definitely not enough. And again, I think having Becky, pretty much steal the title from her would be a very good incentive to have her show some of the attitude, not being this bubbly, fun, happy to be here babyface. So we could hope maybe if Bianca, I would assume she will lose at Extreme Rules, maybe that will be another kind of push in that direction where she's gonna be like, all right, now I'm mad, like this is ridiculous. Maybe, but we can hope. But I will say, we've been seeing more, pretty firmly, especially last night, leaning in the Becky Lynch as a heel character, even though she has been getting cheered anyway. Last night especially, granted, it was a very hot Madison Square Garden crowd, but they were cheering for Bianca, and I think that in that sense, mission accomplished, where it's like you pair her with Becky Lynch, SummerSlam, not the best way to go about it, but having a storyline now, it's like by having her in there with Becky Lynch, by having Becky as the heel, people are getting more or just even more behind Bianca, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's something that we hadn't really seen so much before Becky Lynch came back, during kind of the heart of Bianca's reign as a champion, partially because of the lack of depth on the SmackDown's one division side of things, but also by having Becky in there, granted hasn't been perfect as a character in terms of what they've been presenting her as. I definitely think that that has helped, and even though it hasn't been perfect, and we can still hope that we will get that character growth anyway. But to me, that's definitely a silver lining, that it's getting her more, I hate to say more over, but essentially, that she is getting to be the star that we know that she is. Where like she was a champion, but it still didn't always feel like she was at that level. No, I think she's getting to be at that level, and that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm liking it. I thought, again, wasn't perfect. I'm coming around on the Becky Lynch heel character a little bit. Yeah, the fur coat was silly. I would agree. I don't want the female version of the Seth Rollins character we've been seeing, or we had been seeing. I think again we saw an evolution in that character last night. But hopefully, as we go forward here, Becky will kind of show some more layers in that sense. Just as we can hope that Bianca will show some layers to the character that she's been portraying. So again, not a perfect show. All right, we were talking about.
I want to knock them for one more thing, because this was funny yesterday. This is funny. I got tweets about this and stuff. All of their production trucks, like 80% of the wrestlers featured on their production trucks are gone. And it's just like, I saw ones with Hardy, with Lana, with who else was it? It was Lana, I think Bray Wyatt. Braun Strowman was on one of them. Of course. It's like, come on. Does that not say alone these are pivotal people you shouldn't release? These are pivotal people.
Man. Yeah. No, that's another thing, right? There's always like those reminders of people that aren't there. So once we can enjoy, some people that are, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Heyman, there's always something that's like, no, they're still.
They went through a lot of change. Yeah, good show. I honestly, we can knock it, but it was one of the better SmackDowns.
Oh yeah.
And
You know.
that's why I said with the whole women's match thing, really, I understand that there's a whole demographic of people that just watch for the women. So to them, maybe this is taking a huge L, right? Maybe they don't care about Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and that I respect that. But big picture, I don't think a 5-minute women's tag match was going to change the landscape of SmackDown women's wrestling. Do I think they need to give their women more of a chance? Absolutely. But you're not going to get me to knock this show too much just because, hey, we didn't get that one women's tag match that would have lasted 5 minutes and gone nowhere. I'm a realist in that sense. Overall, I'm going to give this show a 9.
Yeah, man.
This is a good show. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns stole the show. Brock Lesnar, for all the knocks you want to give him about not caring about wrestling, he's good at it when he does. Paul Heyman deserves an Emmy. Edge and Seth Rollins, pardon the pun, burned it down. Absolutely one of the best matches. Edge still is another one of those guys who is just on a different level. It's a shame. It is a shame that you have to rely on these people that have been here for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. But it's clear that they're so much better. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to 9.
That was my gut instinct as well. It's a 9 and for me, and I never rate that highly, but my gosh, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought Edge Rollins was very good. Loved everything about Reigns, Heyman, and Lesnar. Lots of good stuff to enjoy, and I agree. Yeah, it's not great to not have a women's match like that, but again, if we're looking at the big picture, especially, I don't want to knock how good the show was with my number of saying, okay, I think this was definitely one of the better shows we've seen in a while, and definitely the several viewers agreeing. Melanie Melson show is great, giving it a 10 out of 10. Eric Hedstrom with a 9.5 as well there. Mike Griffin with a 9, and Nestor with a 9 as well, and Francis Fernando with a solid 9. So, again, the numbers speak for themselves.
It's a very good show.
Above average, not even just above average, a genuinely good show. And to me, far and away here, SmackDown definitely has become, at least for me, probably the best WWE show of the week. And when you have a strong show in an individual sense of what we saw last night, it makes it very, very easy to look forward to SmackDown, whereas it's not always the case with stuff where you see over on Monday nights on Raw. But regardless, John Clark and I will be here on Monday night to talk about Monday Night Raw with the perhaps confusing announcement of the WWE Championship match. Will be a noteworthy show to say the least. And also, John and I will be here on Tuesday to talk about the new era of NXT. Whatever the heck that means, I don't know. But it's going to be something. And other than that, Robert will be here next Saturday to talk about Friday Night SmackDown, whatever happens next week. And otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews currently available and lined up for you guys. I interviewed former Ring of Honor World Champion Matt Taven. That just went up yesterday, so make sure to check that out. I had a Ring of Honor's pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, on Sunday. Bill Pusher recently interviewed CM Punk. He's interviewed Paul White, also known as The Big Show. So much great stuff here over on WrestleZone interviews, our post shows. The Dynamite Dudes with Rampage talk about all things AEW, and as Neshker is pointing out, it's a SmackDown show, but I'll throw a little love AEW's way. Friday night was awesome for both companies. We had a fun episode of Rampage. I'm sure Marcus and Dominic will talk all about that. They'll be live tonight, Saturday night, with their show, 2 Dynamite Dudes with Rampage. Make sure to check that out. And otherwise, wrestling's fun, man. Wrestling is back. It is firing on all cylinders. With a fun show for SmackDown. Pretty much wherever your loyalty lies, there's something to enjoy here across the board for wrestling, and that is a very, very good thing. So with that, we thank you for listening, and Robert, going forward here as we enter the weekend, coming off of a fun episode of SmackDown, looking forward to another fun week in the world of wrestling. We do one thing here above all others at WrestleZone. Can you tell me what that is?
It's simply enjoy wrestling.
Indeed. Thanks for listening.